Okay, I think we're live. Okay. Well, hi, everybody. Well, welcome to another edition of Tuning In with Tony. On this December the 12th, so we have 12, 12, 25. Very powerful numeric numbers for sure. And today we're going to be talking about the stillness in December. What is that all about? Because traditionally, December is usually a high stress time of year where everyone's hustling and bustling, getting around, trying to get errands done. We're trying to close off the year. I mean, this is the last month for many businesses that have set goals from January on, and we're just sort of closing things off. And if we're realizing at this point that we didn't monitor it the way we perhaps would have liked to, we only have maybe a couple of weeks left just to sort of end the year in that way. So there's lots going on in this way, but with all of this going on, Spirit is really have this collective energy that they want various things to happen, and thus the start of this show. And speaking of this show, it's been brought to you by Higher Self. It's a group of people, group of teachers that's been brought together, not only with myself, but vibrationally with many other teachers that people are asking for raising their consciousness and raising their vibration in some way where we could actually start looking at our lives in a different way, looking at our dimension in a different way. You know, it's so important that we raise our vibrations, because that's where we can get out of the matrix that we are in. Since birth and literally thousands upon thousands of years, humans have been controlled, and a lot of things have been omitted from our cognitive collection consciousness, and we have so many things that we got to catch up on. And so over the next year, the 2026 that we're going to be just coming upon is going to be a big deal. In other words, we're going to have a lot of various things happening that will be able to, it's going to shake us in some ways, and it'll be very, very transformational in some other ways. So it's going to be an incredible year, 2026. And so whether you come in for a reading or whether you come in for a tuning session, I personally work with tuning forks. And lately, I've been venturing into crystal bowls. I now have a complete set of crystal bowls in many different frequencies, including solfeggio that just came in recently, and some beautiful gongs that I have that not only I have, but I've got a beautiful artist making me one. I should have that by February, and it's amazing. It just struck my heart for sure. So we're always trying to up our game and upgrade our tools so that we can offer that to the people that are listening and people that are following. And it's just that we're following something, and we're hoping that others will follow what we're following, sort of thing. And in doing that, we have classes, whether you're tuning yourself with tuning forks. We have a set of 3 tuning forks that we use in our self-tuning kit. And we'll show you over a 6-hour period how to use those tools. And every day, work on your chakras, work on your consciousness, and work on your energies in so many ways to constantly keep going up and keep that consciousness going. And we also have our sound bathing event, and that is happening next week, next Wednesday, December the December 17th. And the 17th is a big number for people that are in numerology and so on. So we selected that day specifically for our Stillness in December theme. And it's going to be basically because we're getting so close to our celebration, holidays, Christmas, and however other groups are celebrating this year. It's all about gratitude and love and bringing peace to this world, peace to ourselves first, of course, and then that will transcend to peace on earth. And these type of shows are always placed in podcasts, and you'll be able to hear that. And because this is such a current podcast, or the things that we're doing now, it's going to be actually put right into our podcast channel by Monday, because we want to make sure that a lot of people are going to hear this, and not what would normally take place is about a year from now. Some of our members will get this episode right away if they're not here on live. But the others, we put it in podcasts that are free, but that's about a year from now. But this particular episode we will air right away because it is time sensitive. And Spirit wants us to know that in December that we need to just sort of slow down. We're going to get more into that and how we're going to do that. All right. In the podcast itself, we have a beautiful meditation that we created, and it's actually called the same thing, Stillness in December meditation. We just aired that yesterday, and already we're getting great reviews on it. And it's an amazing meditation. It's the longest one we've ever done. It's going to be it's over 50 minutes long. That's right, folks, 50. Not many meditations that I know are more than 20, maybe 30 minutes. It's even that's pushing it. But the sound journey on this took over 50 minutes to create. So we couldn't cut it. It's just like cutting a movie halfway. So we had to leave it the way it is, that Spirit had channeled this particular journey. And I have that special one without the soundtrack, and it's just in its raw form. If you're interested, our members are going to be receiving this probably later today. And if you want to become a member, it's like $5 a month, and you'll get this every single week. So it's like over $1 a week sort of thing. And this is a great way to be able to have us show the gratitude that you're sort of following us and looking at the different ways for you that will be able to raise your vibration as well. Also want to thank somaenergetics.com. These are the people that I get all my tuning forks from, and we are one of the master teachers that are teaching this to the world. We have a class coming up in the first week of January with many countries coming in that are wanting to find out how we can incorporate tuning forks and other sounds into their practice, whether it's a massage therapy or whether it's a psychological, a psychiatrist, physiological things, or whatever they're doing, they can incorporate now sounds, because there's so much evidence now that sound and frequency is starting to create very, very positive outcomes in people's health. First, it's the vibration, and then the body picks that up, and it changes to that vibration. And when it's tuned, it's at this healthier state in that way. So, looking forward to that. So today's color is, of course, neutral. So whether it's like an off-white, white, beige, whatever you want to call it, just something neutral. We want to make it so that it doesn't have any connection to a chakra. It's only because the white itself is all of the colors. If you take white light and shine it on a prism, it turns into all the other colors, okay? So this is the source of white light. It has many, many hundreds of thousands of colors within that light. So light is very intelligent in this way. Our theme today is all about balance. And isn't that what we really are looking for? It's about balance. Like, how come when we are looking at a job or we are looking at getting something to do, and if it's something important, like you get this dream job that you're trying to do, let's say you've always wanted to be an actor or actress, then you have an opportunity to get in front of an agent, and they said, yeah, we'd like to sign you. And then you go to sign the contract, and you're so excited, and then everything in your life goes by the wayside because you now have your dream shot. And, months and years go by and realize no real job came in. They just wanted to sign you so you wouldn't go with someone else. Meanwhile, you're not working. And so in the meantime, you put everybody, family, friends, everybody's on hold because you were on this quest. So what Spirit is saying is no matter what happens, whether it's something that you're not feeling that great or you're feeling incredibly great, there needs to be a balance, so that you don't do these peak and valley type things in your life where, either you got lots going on or you're homeless. Lots going on, or like there needs to be some kind of equilibrium. And that's what Spirit is sort of mentioning today. In this different place when it comes to health, even the Toltecs say that when a person is sick, they have an illness of some kind. Humans have over 150,000 different names for various diseases, illnesses, ailments, you name it. There's a book there's probably more. There's always something that they've now relabeled as something else. But really, in the Toltec, in the Mexican tribes, in the ancient wizards, they only saw that there was two basic ailments. Either a person is balanced or a person is not. If a part of the body is not balanced, it will show different attributes and different things that will come out of that body, and it's all based on emotion, based on a frequency. And your body is very, very receptive and transmissive of this frequency. When something is off, you think that you're not enough or you think that you're not beautiful, your body's not agreeing, so there's a conflict. And that's out of balance. And so there's going to be various things the body will show you that they are not agreeing, basically. So that's the way. So there's different approaches to health. We're not saying one is better than the other. That's up to you. You will figure what is right for you. And this is where your intuition comes into play. What is right for me? So the overall message that Spirit wants to say in this beautiful December, and if you're listening from all over the world, here in Canada, we now have snow. There's about roughly 5 or 6 centimeters, which is, 4 or 5 inches, something like that, 3-4 inches. But it's cold. It's -5 and in Celsius, and we get this snow. And many times we're rushing from place to place. We got to make sure we have our snow tires on. And this time of year for us, there's so much going on. We're going from one store to the next. We're going to various meetings. We're trying to clean up our year from a business perspective, those of you that have businesses or home office businesses. And you've also got families to support. And even after they've all moved out, if you're grandparents, well, then you're now looking at the various things that is hosting. You want to make sure that, everybody has something that's going on, but you're always wanting to do something. And this is where Spirit just wants you to take a breath and just slow down. Just slow down to the point, because when we start taking inventory about where this rush is coming from, you'll find out it isn't coming from you. It's coming through you. Society has very much conditioned us to be doers, not beings. We're not human beings to many areas of our society. We're supposed to do stuff. We're supposed to accomplish things. We're supposed to be these things. And it's when we are following this, what some people call a rat race, or what some people will call, you've got the hamster on the wheel type of thing. This is where it becomes very, very big. Now, from a global perspective, when we look at the Earth itself, the Earth vibrates at a frequency in itself. It is this working, living being, our Earth, and it does have consciousness. It does know exactly what's happening on the surface. Some of it likes, a lot of it doesn't like right now, right? But there's a shift going on. So for millions of years, there's been this very special frequency, and they've measured this. It was called the Schumann's frequency, and it's at 7.83 hertz, which, if you know what that is, it's a very, very low frequency. It's basically inaudible. You don't really hear this type of frequency. I have some tuning forks that are at 30 hertz, and you got to put your ear right at it to listen to it. So this is a fourth of that. So it's very, very steady frequency in that way. And that hasn't changed for millions of years. But for the last 100 years, it has started to change, especially the last 20 years. And especially on top of that, the last 5, 6, or 7 years, there's been massive changes to our Schumann resonance. This is because the Earth is realizing that the energy on the surface is a certain frequency that is low. In other words, even other stargates, other star planets and so on, when we get channelings like that, they think that our society and the way we are doing things is rather primitive, because everything is about duality, what is right, what is wrong, and it's all about keeping the main public under a certain consciousness so they can be controlled. And right now, that is all changing. And it's all changing from 2025 over to 2026. The Schumann resonance have gone bananas. And that's my definition, not spirits. It's just been going from 7.83, which it's always been, up to 40, which is massive, and then back down, up and down. It's trying to bring our collective consciousness to this higher state. And that's why people are going through so much stress. They feel that just sitting in a chair, you feel you're wasting your time. They feel that, with all of the old paradigms where you have to do things, you have to take things off a checklist, you have to keep going and keep doing things. That's an old paradigm. And they're now looking at, let's reserve some time so we can be in this stillness. And that's the stillness that we're going to be talking about today, what that is. Some people will say, well, I can't just sit. There's always so many things in my mind. Exactly. And what do you think happened to put that all there? Because when you were born, it wasn't there. It was there since birth. So we've all been conditioned, including myself, we've all been conditioned to have things in our head so that we think we're not enough. We think that by having this, and I hear this so many times sometimes, you would get a person that is taking care of a loved one, and let's say they have a terminal illness, and they're at the hospital every single day. As soon as they finish work, they're at the hospital. They're basically sleeping in a chair beside their loved one just to be of service, to be of care, and they could be doing this for literally a couple of years or more. And then finally, when the loved one does pass, one of the first questions they ask, I wonder if I could have done more. And this is just indicative of the various places and people that are instilling that in us. That even if you're putting in 100, 200%, if there is such a thing, you can only put in 100%, but I understand when people say I put in 150%, that they put in more. In other words, they passed the boundary of what their physical body said, okay, don't do anymore. This is it. You got to get a meal. Okay, sit down, relax, meditate, do something. And they ignore that. Then they go past those boundaries. And they still are perhaps not feeling very well afterwards because they are going to be totally exhausted. Of course, you're devoting all of this. I'm not saying that this is right or wrong. I'm saying this is the decision that some people make, that they want to be, and no matter what they do, they think it's not enough. And that's the biggest thing that I hear when people come in for readings is when a person passes, I don't know if I've done enough. And then when I asked the person, that the loved one that came in with them, and they said, oh no, you actually gave way more. And I had to wait until you left the room before I passed. Because that's their next question, is that when I left, I literally left for like a half an hour to get a soup and a sandwich. And I came back and they were gone. And it's like, oh man, I missed it. Why? And they feel guilty. And I says, no, that's not what happened. What they're saying is they were waiting, the soul was waiting for you to leave. So they will, do various things to make you leave the room, whether it's go to the washroom or get a bite to eat, just so they could pass in peace. Because the last thing they want, any loved one, and I think you can agree with this, you don't want the people that loved you to see you transcend. You don't want to see that. You don't want them to see you doing that. And I think that's the biggest thing. As soon as they realize that, oh, you mean I didn't miss it? No, they were actually waiting for days before to make sure that they could leave, but you were always there. So as soon as you left, then they could leave in peace. And they want you to realize you did everything you could. And so now they're looking for that stillness. They're looking for that, now I have all these things in my head, and that's fine because that's where it is. It's all in the mental conditioning that you could have done more. And it's nothing like that. It's all about being exactly who you are. Exactly what you did was perfectly, and it had to happen. So this feels like that when you are not enough, do I need to do more? Do I need to earn more? Do I need to meditate more? And it's none of that. And this is where Spirit really wants you to realize it's actually the opposite is true. Okay, by feeling, they don't want you to feel like this because that's the old paradigm. That you need to work and work and work, and we were bred to be workers, not to be critical thinkers. And you just ask George Carlin about that. He comes in my energy every so often, and he directs me to some of his videos. Those of you that like George Carlin, he was such an amazing man when he was on this earth, and he said it the way it was. I love that. Nothing holding back, and he just said it the way things were. You might not like it, but it was the truth. It was something that is really going on. So the thing is, when you realize that it's you that's not enough, it's just that that's the way you were bred, okay? So Spirit is saying right now to be able to say before you burn out, okay, you need to find in some way your emptiness within inside of you. And this is the process of stillness. To be able to find this emptiness. Because women, you know this more than anyone, that it takes an emptiness to be pregnant. In other words, to create life, to create anything, you have to have a moment of space. You have to have emptiness and stillness for something then to be birthed into your existence. Now, of course, in physical form, that would be a child. But it could also be ideas of how to transcend, how to ascend, how to get into this space that you are really wanting to be. And since you've never been there at, let's say, this higher vibration, we're always wondering, are we doing it right? Are we on the right path? And they're saying to all women, they want Spirit to have all women hear this. You are exactly where you need to be. Even though it might not be as pleasant as it can be, you're there for a reason. You're there to ask, what is it more that I need to give? Since I'm here and I want to be somewhere else, what more do I need to do here before my job is done and I can move on? And it takes emptiness to be able to get that insight. You can't do it when your mind is saying, okay, I got to get out of this space, or I got to do something, I got to be something. It isn't any of that, because that's all clutter. It's all useless. It's all areas that you're talking from the point of lack, from the point of scarcity, or you're talking from a point that you are just overwhelmed and you think that you have to do something. Now, Spirit is not expecting anything for you to do. But they do want you to be something. And when is that? And the only way that's going to happen is through this process of stillness. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today to hopefully make it so it's going to be clear to you. And by the end of this, we'll see how much material that we're going to cover. There may be a part 2 just in case. We want to make sure that we get this across to the people that are asking. Because a lot of you ladies, especially ladies, are praying for this. Men, yes, but I would say the majority of it are all feminine rooted. So they're all coming from a point that, tell me what to do. I need to know what to do. And these are great questions. So we're going to give you a process today that will hopefully help with that. So to be in this emptiness, it's all about wide spaces, not this crammed stressful tension and things are going on, okay? We can just open things right up. Make it so that everything is so open and so amazing that you can't, being this wide space, it's hard to understand. Those of you that have been on motorcycles in the prairies, where there's nothing but miles and miles of nothing but miles and miles. It's just rolling hills, especially biking through the prairies, our prairies, which is very flat land. Many of it call it, riding on a table because it's so flat. You could see a city that it looks like it's only going to be about 15 minutes away, and you're driving for 2 hours to still get there. It's that flat, all right? So when you have this open space, how are you feeling when you look, everywhere you look, it's just wide open space? Look at all the ideas that come in, all the inspirations that you get when you're on that motorcycle. And it's not even about the bike. It's about being in the space of wide openness. And that's what Spirit is saying. This limitless space where there's lots of room for source energy to come in and to go through you. But when people are tense and people are stressed and people are asking it in a way that, what do I need to do? And they're almost praying to the point that they're a little upset or irritated or frustrated maybe. I'm not going to say angry. I don't think it's going that far. But there might be some irritation or frustration, some light little abrasion. That doesn't sound like a wide open space. Does that make sense? I just hope that this sort of transcends you. And in the sense that we want to be able to be in a space where it's wide open and things can actually come to you. So what gets in the way? All right. Well, first of all, I'll give you a little bit of history. All the things you are right now, or what you think you are, is what people have told you. They told you that you were good in math, you were good in history, or you're good in throwing a ball, you were good in sports, you were good in swimming, whatever it is. People told you what you were good in. And even I would meet people today that have not seen me for 30, 40 years. And when I tell them what I do now, they said, "Really? You used to be a mover?" "Yeah." "So now you're a medium." "Oh, gee, you never did that before." I says, "Well, I didn't realize it before. I still had the ability, but I was still discovering myself, however way you could explain that. They wouldn't see it. They would just see you from what they saw 40 years ago and saying, "Oh, no." And they would have, then the question would just change to, I bought a roast and let's say a turkey for Christmas, and they go on, that they have no interest in something that you're now in their minds way off course. Because that's the way they look at you. That you were in the moving business and now you're doing, oh, okay, well, whatever, okay, I hope you're happy, sort of thing. It's just almost like it's a dismissal. And it's good that I'm not looking for their approval because, I'm still understanding myself and getting various things going with myself. But the mind is full of this kind of clutter. No wonder people have such a hard time deciding on what they want to do, deciding on what they want to, what their next task should be or their next mission. Tasks are going to be redefined, I think, in 2026. It's all going to be, if you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling whatever you're getting in your job, you're going to see a lot of people just leave their job. Those people that say, well, when this government job or whatever job that you might be in that you perhaps don't really like, but it is paying the bills, and you're doing, let's say, something on the side, then the idea there is you want to build that business, on weekends and evenings or whatever, to make it to the point where someday you'll be able to quit your job and then just continue with your business. That's all going to change in 2026 because the internal energy will say, if it's not a passion, if it's not really something that I want to do, your energy will not settle. It'll just say, just go. It will have less and less focus on money and more focus on resources. I know they sound the same thing, but they are totally different because society has learned us or taught us to be able to run after the dollar. Any little way that you could make money just to do it. There's even all kinds of videos on side hustles and so on, and that's just a more narrative about it because they're trying to make you run after the various low energies that it's created on its own. But if you say resources means you're going to use those funds to be able to bring more awakening to other people. Now, we're going to do that whether you're a teacher, whether you construct something. I have a person right now in Europe that's making me a gong, and I was guided to this person because he hand makes it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And so he's doing me a service because I'm connecting to him, and that's how it's going to work. So you need to do things that has what I call juice. It needs to have this internal juice inside it, which is why you wake up in the morning. You want to wake up feeling fantastic, and I can't wait to do my job. I can't wait to get out there and bring insight to people. It gives me incredible joy to be able to give someone an insight. And those that have been with me for a long time, I'm now at a point where I'm turning the whole thing around. Well, what do you think? Because I know you could do it by this point. You've had all these classes and courses and all these things going on. You've listened to many of my meditational tapes and recordings and so on. And now we're going to put it into practice. And we're going to nudge you a little ahead because you can absolutely do this. Because anyone can. We aren't here just to be able to show that we can do something. I don't care if I could read someone's energy, but I really am turned on when they can read their own energy without me, because that means what I have done to get them to that consciousness has been beneficial. Okay, this is the main thing there, to make it so that you can really do this. The energies on this planet right now is surrounding us, and it's surrounding us in such a high consciousness that it actually conflicts with our internal narratives that we've been taught. That you are a woman, you can't do this. You are a man, this is your limitation. All these things are from this earth. It's not from consciousness, because we had to be taught what our limits are. But whenever we are pushed to what those limits are, boy, oh boy, it doesn't take long before we can pass them. And I can show you so many examples physically. I mean, I've said it in other classes where if you have a bag of potatoes that's in a house that's burning, you're going to say, well, I really want those potatoes, but not that much. But if it was your child in that house, I think you'd go in after it. Go in after that loved one. I know I would. I would jump a 6-foot fence, and I can't jump, but I would get over that fence without any problem because my wanting is stronger than my limits. Does that make sense? My wanting is stronger than my projected limits that I have in my head because I need to do something more, and the wanting goes right through my whole body, and it no longer becomes physical. It's so true. It's the only way that you can lift a car off your loved one. If the car falls on this person and it's got to come off, then the wanting, you won't be able to do it the next day with nothing on it. But when it's necessary, we find these unlimited parts when we are driven by emotion, when there's something inside of us that just drives us. Well, the whole Spirit is saying is it doesn't have to be a 911 for you to attain that. You can be in that place where you are in that limitless space, this white space, neutral space, and there's vastness. That's where your potential is. It's not in the tight, this is your limit, don't do this, don't go far, you're going to pull a hamstring. Those might be true, but those are that the body is telling you that you're holding me back. That it can do more, but it's the only way that it can tell you. All right, by doing things like that. So in this way, we need to have different breathing patterns. You need to start grounding yourself more. Now, in our winters, of course, we can't go outside as much as we'd like to, barefoot in the soil because it's frozen. However, there are many different ways that we can ground ourselves in our home. One is just a simple thing of wearing red socks is one idea, or wearing terracotta socks where they're like the same as the earth. Another one is sleeping on various materials that you could plug in your wall, and it grounds you because it's connected to the grounding of the whole home. Okay? So it's all about syncing your heart space into the heart of the planet that you're on. We did this in our last sound bath where we had to take this deep breath and we were visualizing that the earth has a heartbeat. This is the resonance and other things that are going on with the earth. That's what makes the frequency of the planet so vibrant, is that there's a heartbeat. And to sink into that heartbeat with your own, because you came from this earth. Sure, I mean, the soul came from outside. All of us are various star seeds and ground crew and various other things that come in. But physically, when we come through, okay, it's all from the earth. Ashes to ashes, right? And so it all comes from the ground. So Mother Nature provided you to physically be here and is so happy that you're here because you're going to be part of the ascension process in 2026 in some way. And all you need to do is just be in this loving place. And in doing that, it's not going to be that easy. It sounds like a great thing, but there's so many things that we have to get past. Okay? This is why we're always so exhausted. We're always fighting against, our old people that we are, and we're trying to manifest things, and we're waiting a long time. And various things are going on with family and friends, and some friends you never see again because for whatever you just grew apart. But all these things are happening, and at the same time there's this eruption inside of you. And all those heavy energies, those heavy identities that we have, you are this, you are that, whatever it is, it's all going to have to go. Spirit gave me this one analogy that I thought was amazing. And it said if you could put your boat, if you had a boat, and you could put it on the sand at low tide, okay, and there's a few rocks around and so on, and you could put it on there, and there's no water. You just put the boat on the sand sort of thing, and you tie your rope around the rocks, just so when the tide comes in, it doesn't float away, okay? So this is the way these ties will represent all of the earthbound definitions that they have about you. And you agreed, yes, that is me, sort of thing. So when the tide comes in, okay, the boat wants to float, right? That's what boats do. That's the way they're designed. So the boat starts to float until it gets to the maximum length of the ties, wherever it's tied to the rocks. And then it no longer rises. However, the water keeps rising. And if the tide is tall enough, eventually it will be underwater. But the boat is designed to float. So in that analogy, just so you know, in 2026, and especially in this month, is going to be sort of the training for that, is to put yourself in this stillness. In this stillness, and we're going to play the meditation, it's all about untying those ties that are tied to the rocks, which is earth-oriented. And it tells you what you are, and it tells you what your limits are, and all of these things. Tells you what the economy should be, what medical procedures that are available, and on it goes. Okay, all the things that you know about your world in the short amount of years you've been on this planet. You let those go. So when this consciousness comes and starts to rising your boat, it doesn't matter whether it rises 3 inches or 30 feet. The boat will be sitting on top of the water. Okay, makes sense? So the idea is not to tie to the earth because you will sink, because the boat won't go any further, but the earth is still and the water is still rising. And what I mean, so the representation of the water is the frequency that's going to be rising on this earth over the next couple of our years. And this December is the major start of it. Now, it's been going for the last several months, yes, but in this December, Spirit is realizing that people are not unhooking. They still are hooked to this planet and all of the definitions that are within it. And so they see that there could be a danger that as the collective consciousness starts to rise, you should rise with it And then if you're stuck, you won't go. You're eventually your boat will be full of water. Your boat is fine. Your body is fine. Your intention of love is great. It's just these heavier things that you're holding on to that is holding you back. And, Spirit has been saying this for many years, 15 to 20 years previous. Let things like this go. And those that didn't, it's okay. It didn't make a lot of difference. It just made you, okay, there's something else I have to work on down the road. Well, the down the road is now. Okay? So this isn't so much a fear-based thing, but it is a call to say this is the time to start being still. This is the time to find that emptiness that is cluttering your mind and everything. So we're going to play the Stillness in December meditation, specifically created for this class, for this time right now in 12/12 December of 2025, because it's important. And it had to be coming from a sound journey. And so I did a sound journey just in its most raw form. And I just put the intention in my body, and Spirit basically hit the tuning forks and the bowls and the various things in order to make this journey so that you will feel it, that there's going to be this stillness. This it's almost like you're okay, yeah. They're telling me, has you ever happened where you're in the woods and it's complete silence? It's quiet. There's no wind. There's no nothing. It's complete silence. And it's screaming. Have you ever had that experience where it's so quiet, it's almost deafening? That's because the vibration of stillness is so high, it's the same height as the Creator. God itself is in that space of stillness. So when you go into that stillness, it is full of sounds in silence. I don't know if this makes sense, but if you've experienced this is where this journey headed. So of the people that got the membership, we're going to send you that raw form, okay? And those of you that want it, you can talk to me after. But what we did was we took that journey, which was over 52 minutes, and we turned that into, we added some soundtrack, we added a few more tuning forks and stuff to give it so it's more pleasant for meditation purposes, okay? So it's more mainstream, okay? So rather than this raw energy that some people may not get right away. So they understand that some people need this transition, so they added some soundtrack, and we can't play all of it, of course, because it's 52 minutes, but I will play, let's say, 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes of it, and then I will post it on my site. If you go to lovehigherself.com and press the podcast category, it'll take you to this meditation right away. Okay, you'll have your choice to do that on your own. And then what I want you to do, I want you to put yourself in absolute stillness where there's nothing in your head. The first 30 minutes, you're going to have all kinds of things coming into your head. At least I did. And I've done this a few times. I created this, and I still have stuff in there. So the first 20 or 30 minutes, you're going to have all this stuff in your head, and then eventually you're going to get to this vastness, this openness, and it's totally still. Everything is still. And that's when you want to say to yourself, okay, universe, who am I? Can you tell me what am I? Can you tell me what I need to do next? And then have a pad of paper, jot it down, and that's going to come straight from your source energy. Okay? If you don't make it in this 15 minutes or so, don't worry about it. We're just going to give you a taste of what this meditation is about, and Spirit wants you to listen to this at least 3 times this week. Okay? But let's start, and let's see if we can at least start some light codes going within your DNA. It's very powerful. I want you to breathe in the color white or neutral or off-white or whatever neutral means to you. Okay, whatever, just to be very, very Switzerland. Okay, so you got the white caps, and I just want you in this stillness, like you're flying through a cloud, and there's white all around you, and then just get rid of the airplane. Okay, take a deep breath, and we'll see you in a little bit. This is for the Stillness in December meditation. And here we go. Okay.